Skyrocketing fertilizer prices, a focus of a brand new Purdue Crop Chat podcast. This is Who's Your Ag Today and the Morning Podcast on the 24th of November 2021. I'm Andy Eubank. Eric Pfeiffer has a preview of that new Purdue Crop Chat podcast, which features Purdue weed specialist Dr. Bill Johnson. This podcast is brought to you by First Farmers Bank and Trust, proudly serving local farms, families, and agribusiness for over 135 years. Visit them at ffbt.com to learn more. Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin is here with warmer temperatures, and the wheat market continues to lead the way. Numbers from yesterday in Arlen Suderman analysis. The news is next here on the Hat Podcast.
The land of the free is also the home of the hardworking. What if this is the year you take your farm operation to the next level? At First Farmers Bank and Trust, we're proud to serve the people who not only work until the sun goes down, but until the job is done. With over 135 years of commitment to agriculture, we'll find the solution that's right for your operation today and tomorrow. Visit ffbt.com to learn more. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Input costs continue to rise for 2022. I'm Eric Pfeiffer, and this is Who's Your Ag Today News. Fertilizer prices aren't the only ones going up for the 2022 season. Herbicide prices are on the rise too, and availability will be limited. Purdue University professor of weed science Dr. Bill Johnson says there are many reasons for the price hike and shortage.
Not being able to get containers unloaded at the ports, to a shortage of trucks and truck drivers to get them to the formulation plants, to shortages of the formulation materials, to even shortages of the materials that they're packaged in. So it's kind of all over the board. And this is kind of what happens when 80% of your main active ingredient, glyphosate, comes from overseas. It's going to be subject to a number of different things that can affect the availability of this product to the growers.
With glyphosate in short supply, Johnson talks about what's happening to prices.
We're already on November 22nd, we're hearing about glyphosate prices at $60 a gallon. 18 months ago, glyphosate prices were $10 a gallon. So it's increased by sixfold in just 18 months. We're hearing that by the time we get to delivery next spring, it could be as high as $80 a gallon. We're also hearing that many of the retailers are not going to set a glyphosate price until they actually have the inventory on their docks.
Johnson says growers have already placed a high demand on storing their own herbicides so they have it available for next season, and retailers now have practically empty warehouses. Johnson puts that in perspective, saying even the farm stores are starting to ration glyphosate sales.
I was down at Rural King yesterday. Rural King limits customers to 2.5 gallon jugs of glyphosate per customer per day. So they are already rationing glyphosate out of the farm stores on more consumer-sized containers.
So what can you do if glyphosate is unavailable? Johnson discusses potential plans of action in the latest Purdue Crop Chat podcast, found at who'syouragtoday.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Speaking of the Purdue Crop Chat podcast, our next recording will be live in person at Grand Park in Westfield at the Indiana Farm Equipment and Technology Expo on December 16th at noon. If you have questions you'd like to ask of Purdue Extension's corn specialist Dan Quinn and soybean specialist Sean Castile, come on down to the show. We'd love to see you. There are many other things happening at this year's expo as well. Here's Gary Truitt.
What can a drone do on your farm? Well, these little flying machines can do a lot more than just take pictures. Find out how the latest drone technology can benefit you during a special drone seminar hosted by ag tech expert Chad Colby on December 15th. It's just one more reason you need to be at the Indiana Farm Equipment and Technology Expo at Grand Park at Westfield, Indiana. Get details at indianafarmexpo.com. This is Money Minute, financial tips from the experts at AgriFinancial. We're talking with Paul Forresto, Construction Center Manager with Morton Buildings, and we're talking about financing your next Morton Building project. With harvest wrapping up, this would be a good time to start planning your next project. Paul, getting an early start is a good idea.
There's no time like the present, Gary. It's never too soon to start planning, provided you have the means to do the project and you have the property.
And an early start can make the whole project move a lot quicker?
In most cases, a landowner can talk about what their plans are, and we can help them develop a project so that they can put together all their financing and so that this process can be quicker if they get started sooner.
Paul Forrestal with Morton Buildings. For more information, contact cgb-agfi.com. This has been Money Minute from Agra Financial.
That's Gary Truitt, and I'm Eric Pfeiffer. This is Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's Farm Network.
This is breaking news. The Indiana Farm Equipment and Technology Expo is sold out. That's right, the massive Grand Park facility in Westfield, Indiana will be crammed with the latest farm equipment and technology December 14, 15, and 16. Free admission, free parking, and easy access make this the best farm show to attend in 2021. Get details at IndianaFarmExpo.com. The Indiana Farm Equipment and Technology Expo, presented by Reynolds Farm Equipment, December 14 through 16 at Westfield, Indiana.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with Hoosier Ag Today's Indiana Farm Forecast, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the Eastern Corn Belt's fastest growing independent seed company. Visit seedgeneticsdirect.com to get your seed guide with pricing. As we take a look at action across the nation's midsection here today, Eastern Corn Belt areas are warm for sure, and we're going to be looking at well above normal temperatures all the way through sunset tonight. Unfortunately, we have a cold front that's still going to want to try and work through the area tomorrow, and as it does so, there's going to be some moisture to try and work through here. At this point, a few hundredths of an inch to probably 3 or 4 tenths is what we're talking about. It's mostly going to be coming overnight tonight, after midnight tonight through probably midday tomorrow. Behind that frontal boundary, we see much colder air coming in. Lake effect cloud cover will be in over northern parts of the state, but otherwise I think your Thanksgiving afternoon will try and turn out partly sunny. And then we stay chilly for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of next week. I think for Sunday, we're going to be looking at a mix of clouds and some breaks in the area of the central and southern part of the state. We won't even rule out a little bit of light moisture. That's a new wrinkle in that overnight Saturday night, early Sunday period. But we're not really married to any kind of significant inclement weather. As a matter of fact, once we get past Monday and the cold surge there, we see temperatures moderate for next Tuesday with a mix of clouds and sun. Cold air tries to come back for Wednesday the 1st, and we stay chilly into early the 2nd. But temperatures moderate again for late the 2nd through the 3rd of December. We're developing an active precipitation pattern and track a little bit farther north up over the Great Lakes, but right now it does not look to be coming southward into Indiana. So back and forth, the temperatures are going to swing like a wild pendulum, but moisture-wise, even though we're having to put a little bit of moisture in overnight, Saturday night, Sunday, and even though we're talking about a little bit of hit and miss moisture on Thanksgiving, it's not huge totals, and I think we're going to be able to do okay here with regard to excessive moisture. We seem to stave that off and keep that at bay. That's the way your forecast is stacking up. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
During the trading day, a rebound in wheat futures pulling corn higher. This is Hoosier Ag Today and the Tuesday Farm Market Review. I'm Andy Eubank. The review is brought to you by Co-Alliance Cooperative, your local agriculture and energy partner for nearly a century. Looked like a turnaround Tuesday. Didn't happen, though, as wheat went higher. We have the numbers coming up. First, market analysis. And for that, at the end of trade, I checked in with Arlen Suderman at StoneX. Arlen, it certainly looked like a turnaround Tuesday in full force early on Tuesday, and then things turned around on Tuesday. Higher markets, corn and wheat. And I guess you just can't keep a hot commodity down, as in the case of wheat.
You stole the line I was going to use, so you're exactly right. Tight quality milling wheat supplies in the world, and it just seems like we keep getting another story and another story from a different part of the world to add to that. And of course, the current story is out of Australia, where they're trying to harvest their crop. Australia grows quality milling wheat. That's one of their focuses. It's one of their specialties. And they've had persistent rain all month long as they've been trying to start to harvest. And I looked this morning at the outlook. Basically more of the same is expected right on through December, with just a steady flow of rain over the continent. And so basically they're expected to have near a very large crop, but it may end up being of low quality or feed quality instead of quality milling. wheat. And so that is expected to increase demand for U.S. wheat, particularly the hard reds. And so the hard reds were really the leader today on the markets. And that provided some support for corn. Soybeans saw a little bit more in the way of consolidation today, with soy meal taking back some of its big gains of late, while the unwinding of the spreads pushed soy oil higher once again.
So the corn market, as you mentioned, supported by that move in the wheat futures market. Overall levels in corn right now, 580 on the front month, December 22 closing in on 560. Thoughts about where we are?
Yeah, the number one job of the corn market right now is to protect area for next year. USDA is projecting a 10% stocks-to-use ratio of surplus corn for the current year, or basically 1.5 billion bushels. There is no reason for corn to be above $5 with that size of stocks. So the focus is on next year. With these high crop input prices all over the world expected to threaten production in 2022, the market is doing what it can to make sure that farmers can pay that fertilizer bill, assuming that they can actually get access to fertilizer, and continue to plant corn in the next crop year.
And let's take a look at the meat market. Started the week off strong on Monday, as did the grains and oil seeds. A little bit of a drop off, but still some degree of strength, especially in the cattle market.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's where we're seeing the strength. Last week's slaughter very strong, and it's amazing how we're able to pick up slaughter capacity now when the demand for beef is there. But we are seeing the cash prices work their way higher. Even last week, when we thought that we might see a stall or a pause in the higher cash prices, they were still strong and continued to work their way higher. Now we're getting those positive chart signals that are drawing in speculative money as well, and the higher fats are encouraging more strength in the feeder cattle demand as well.
Can we move over to oil and the 50 million barrels of oil the Biden administration is going to release, reportedly, from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Number one, is that really a big deal? And number two, in response to that, crude oil goes up a couple of dollars a barrel, crude futures. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that answers your question. As the market is saying, 50 million barrels of oil is a little over a 2-day supply, or roughly a 2.5-day supply. So it makes very little difference. And considering the fact that the price of crude oil had fallen more than $10 already on expectations that President Biden would do something to increase supply, the market is saying, we priced it in. It wasn't as big as what we thought. So now we still have a supply and demand problem, and so market is going back up to reflect what it believes are relatively tight fundamentals for crude oil.
Arlan Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX and StoneX.com. On the Hat Farm Market Review, a look at the Tuesday markets. Corn up, wheat up as well. December corn goes to 580.5, 3 3/4 higher. 4 cents up on March and May. March 588.25, May 592 3/4. Down a penny and a quarter. January soybeans 12.73, March 12.84.5, down 1 3/4, and May down 1 3/4 at 12.93 3/4. And December wheat strong on the day, 8.56, settling up a dime and a quarter. Livestock mixed, mostly higher. December live cattle 135.40, up 97. December lean hogs 74.15, down a $0.50, up 25 cents though on the February contract. I'm Andy Eubank with the Tuesday markets. This is Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's leading farm radio network.